welcome in everyone to this week's episode of Craze's Corner. We're going to talk about some guys later who will lead you to a fantasy football championship this year. We're going to start off with some news. So to start off with, we're going to talk about the Mark Ingram trade. He's been traded from the Houston Texans to the New Orleans Saints. He gets to reunite with Sean Payton and Alvin Kamara. I think it's a great fit for him. They have really been lacking that RB2 behind Kamara, and they like to keep him fresh. So I think Ingram comes in. He's a nice change of pace back, but nothing fantasy relevant. Then we're going to break into some terrible news for Giants fans. Jabrill Peppers, their starting safety. He ruptured his ACL as well as having a high ankle sprain. He's been placed on IR, and he will miss the rest of this season, hoping to have him back for the start of next season. And the third story is the ongoing story currently, the whole Deshaun Watson situation. So from everything that I'm hearing, I don't think a deal is going to get done before the trade deadline. Miami is interested, but they've come out and said they want the whole legal situation to unfold first. They don't want to give up their future on the chance. And then the Panthers have really ruled out anything before the trade deadline as well because they're in the same situation. They don't really trust the whole legal situation. A couple other teams, but Deshaun Watson still does have precedent. He can decide with his no trade clause where he goes and where he doesn't. So that's something to monitor. He has said he'd waive it for Miami, and Carolina doesn't think that'll be a problem either. But the Eagles are one team that people are saying is interested, but I don't think Deshaun Watson's interested from what I've heard. So that's something to monitor. But what do you guys think? Where should Deshaun Watson go? Will it be this season? Will it be in the offseason? Let us know using the media app. It's a virtual press conferencing app. It's by far one of my favorite apps. You can use it for your fantasy football leagues as well. So I recommend you guys check it out on the Google Play and App Store. And now let's welcome in our guests, Will and Jeff. Thanks for joining.
Look at that Cal Bears shirt. Go Bears.
All right, let's get into some fantasy football championship winning players. We're going to go position by position, starting with quarterbacks, finishing with tight ends. So I'm going to start us off at the quarterback position. I'm going with my guy, Dak Prescott. Currently dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury, but I think when Michael Gallup gets back, and then the emergence of Dalton Schultz, Zeke and Pollard out of the backfield with Cooper and CeeDee Lamb there already. He's put up some great numbers previously, and I think he's going to continue to do that. I think you can start him every week, and I really don't think there's going to be many weeks where he disappoints you. And I think his fantasy football coming due the championship, the schedule is actually fairly well. So that's a guy I think he will lead you to a championship. If someone dropped him from the bye for whatever reason, we'll see if he's there. If he's there, grab him up. If someone's worried about the ankle injury kind of lingering, which I'm not, try and see if you can get him because I think he will be a guy who's on a lot of championship rosters. We're going to move over to Will's guy. We got Justin Herbert, rookie of the year last year. Let's have you break it down here for us, Will.
I just think it's kind of like who Jeff's going to talk about. I think you see these young quarterbacks maybe starting to emerge. And, I just think he has the talent around him. Their schedule is great at the end of the season, especially for fantasy playoffs. And so I'm all in right now. I like where they're going. I like their spreading the ball. And, I think those last 2 weeks of the fantasy season, well, you got Denver and I forgot who the other team was. Denver and somebody, but it's
Houston. It was Houston.
Houston, yeah. So, I'm all in for those. If you have them on the roster, keep them. If you can get them, let's go get them.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think Herbert he's got the talent around him in a kind of similar situation with Williams and Allen. So I think he's a guy with Eckler coming out of the backfield that's going to put up some numbers. Any thoughts on Herbert, Jeff? You think he could be a guy as well?
I do. I think it was a kind of an aberration that last game that they had, and the offense didn't look well. Nobody looked good on the Chargers offense, but like I said, I think it's an aberration. I think he's going to get back to form, and with the schedule that he has, I think you can ride him all the way to the championship.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about your guy, Jeff. You want to talk about Joe Burrow?
I can't believe I'm even saying this. I never thought the sentence would come out of my mouth. that the Bengals are real.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I'd say that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Joe Burrow was going to regress. I thought he was going to have issues, kind of being afraid with his knee. I thought it was a huge mistake that they had drafted Jamar Chase instead of the kid that ended up getting drafted by the Lions.
Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell, I believe. Yeah. And I thought he wasn't going to be protected. I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm wrong on all fronts, man. I need to apologize to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys, hey, they're doing something over there. I think Joe Burrow is going to be special for a while. I think he's going to be a future top 5 quarterback in this league. And I still can't believe I'm saying that. But he has proven me wrong. He's the real deal.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are legit too. They just put a smackdown on the Ravens. It was a little closer than the score led some people to believe they didn't actually watch the game. But the Ravens are the real deal as well. So them going and beating the Ravens convincingly, that kind of gives me confidence in them going forward. And the Ravens have a good defense as well with Marlon Humphreys and Patrick Queen. So yeah, I think Joe Burrow could be a guy who can lead you to a championship as well. But let's move on to some running backs here. I'm gonna start with my running back. I seem to be a little Cowboy heavy here. Didn't realize until I'm looking at it now, but my pick's actually going to be Ezekiel Elliott. He's got some really, really good matchups. So most playoffs, I think, are going to start about week 15 if you have a 3-week playoff thing. So he plays the Giants week 15. He's going to run all over the Giants because they're missing Blake Martinez, who was their best run-stopping defender, and he's gone. Then they play Washington, who's looked terrible all season. And then Arizona is a little bit more of a tougher matchup. By that time, I think that he will be asserted his dominance as much because he's gone. He's playing most of the snaps. And even in a game where they played New England last time they played, and he had 9 targets in that game. It was a close game, so I think if Dallas is in that close type of games, they're going to get him the ball out of the backfield. So he's a guy that people were a little down on earlier in the season. I told you guys he was going to come back, and I'm going to continue riding that. I think he's full go. Do you guys have any thoughts on Zeke? You guys all rocking with him still? You think he's?
Yeah. I mean, I've never really been a big Zeke guy, but I mean, I can see him putting up numbers. They are going to be committed to the run. They've got a well-balanced attack. That's the thing I will give Dallas. Their offense is very, very well-balanced.
Yeah, they seem to kind of figure that out in the past couple weeks, where they've been able to get the run as well as keeping that going.
And that's the thing that scares me. Like, why did it take the coaching staff this many weeks to figure out they were well balanced?
Mike McCarthy.
Right. And so my only hesitancy with Zeke is McCarthy, especially near the end of the season. Like, McCarthy is stupid enough, honestly, for fantasy players. They'll probably have the division locked up. They'll probably know what seed they're going to be. I could see him resting Zeke the last 2 weeks of the season.
I could see him resting the last week, but I think Arizona, they're going to want to play because that is going to be a whole standing thing because Arizona is still going to be up there as well as them. So I don't think you can sit them because I think they play.
We're talking about. I have no doubt that he will wean Zeke the last couple of weeks to get him ready for the playoffs. Now, good for Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I think, like I said, their matchups coming up aren't that hard. Like Minnesota and Denver, okay, but then they play Atlanta, Kansas City, which is great for him. Las Vegas, they should win. They'll be able to beat New Orleans, Washington, New York, Washington. So I think they'll be in a position where they are fighting for that 2, 3, 4 seed in the NFC. So I think against Philly they might rest him, but I don't think you can rest him against Arizona because they're going to be one of the teams competing for him. But let's move on to Will's guy, who I did almost choose. I'll let you introduce him, Will, a great guy who I did almost pick myself because his playoff schedule is nice.
Yeah, James Robinson. I mean, I know Jacksonville's everybody rightfully, what the hell? But look, I mean, his points now. Now, I don't know what the heck happened early in the season, but there's another coaching staff that's finally figured out just give him the ball. Give him the ball, let him touch the ball. As long as he stays healthy, I think he could win some championships. And I think it's a player that most people aren't thinking about. I think everybody's thinking, especially in running back, they're thinking top 5 guys. Look, if Robinson's your number 2, or let's say he's your number 3 because you got Kamara and Najee Harris, and then you got Robinson late in your draft. That's a lineup. Woo! Especially there. So that last 2 weeks is Jets and Patriots. The Patriots game kind of makes me nervous January 2nd, but weather's probably going to be bad. Probably going to run the ball, short passes, right? So, and they were at the Jets the week before, so they are on the road, but
it's the Jets.
Yeah, it's the Jets. So let's go with it. And yeah, I'm high on him, and to think where he was drafted in most drafts. That could be like your MVP where you got him in the draft and how he helps you get just enough points to win that championship.
Yeah, and he's been putting up 20 points in back-to-back weeks. So, like, he's been scoring. And that's why I almost chose him. I was like, James Robinson, Ezekiel Elliott, I think both guys are going to be right up there. Any thoughts on James Robinson, Jeff?
I was worried as well at the beginning of the season. But I think like a lot of new coaches, somebody probably got with Urban Meyer and was like, we need to run this guy.
Yeah.
Right? This is the guy right here. Don't Carlos Hyde. This is the guy right here. And he finally got wise and started running him. I love James Robinson. And I think he's just one of those sneaky plays where everything is just he's going to score you points every week. That's the thing. Now you're starting to see the consistency. That's the word I was looking for. That he's always either high, anywhere from 18 up to 28 points, which is a huge get, if you've got a running back in your lineup. So, and then he doesn't seem to get hurt. So that's the other thing as well.
I mean, hey, even, what was it, 2 weeks ago now, when they played Tennessee, and they got killed in that game, he still put up 149 yards rushing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so give me that the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then speaking of a guy who doesn't get injured much, this segues perfectly into Jeff's running back. Derrick Henry, he's been consistent and he's been putting up the numbers. We'll let you talk him up a little bit, but I don't really think there's going to be any rebuttals coming from me or Will.
I feel like kind of like Captain Obvious, but it wasn't always like that. Can you imagine that people just a couple of years ago were calling this guy a bust?
Yeah.
They were saying this guy wasn't worth the high draft pick that the Titans gave for him, man. This dude has proven that he is defense, whatever the top defense it is, whatever top running defense, what he did to the Bills solidified that this dude cannot be stopped. I think I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I'm an old school Earl Campbell fan.
Yeah.
This dude reminds me of a faster Earl Campbell, and whatever you try to do, you can stack the box. Now you can't, because now A.J. Brown is starting to come off.
Yeah.
So you got to pick your poison. And a lot of times, once Derrick Henry gets into that second area of the defense, dudes don't want to face, they don't want that smoke. Nope. A DB, a safety, it's a special guy that somebody like that doesn't have it all there. Like, what's his name? The guy, the safety in Las Vegas for the Raiders, the dude that just loves to hit. I think it's Abraham.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he just loves to hit, but I don't even think he wants that smoke.
No.
So that's what I love about Derrick Henry. And he's on all of my fantasy teams that I was able to get him. He's been like that for the last few years.
If you were redrafting Derrick Henry's overall number 1 pick?
For me, he was.
But he wasn't at the start of the season.
No.
Exactly. You had people talking about regression and everything. I was like, where are you?
Yeah. No, I think
see this guy?
That's
not
people,
a guy that regresses right there.
People look at his age, but as you mentioned, he got off to a slow start with his career, so he didn't really have that full workload until a couple years after he's been in the league. So I think that helps him out a little bit to stay fresh. But let's move on to the wide receivers. Talking about freaks of nature. DK Metcalf is actually my pick for your league winner at the wide receiver position. not only does he get Russell Wilson back, but his 3 games, week 15, 16, and 17, he plays the Rams, which he already put up 24 points against in half-point PPR. And then they play the Bears, who haven't been able to stop anything. Tom Brady just completely tore that defense apart. And the Lions, who have no secondary to begin with. So for me, with Russ coming back in 3 easy matchups, I don't see there's anywhere where DK is not putting up 20 points a game through that 3-game stretch, and that'll be good, especially if you can buy him low now with the whole Geno Smith thing, if he's not already on your roster, which he should be. DK Metcalf's going to win some leagues for some people. He has the ability to put up a 3-touchdown, 200-yard game too, like kind of like Kamara did, where he won people their championships last year. I think DK Metcalf has that potential as well. Either of you think, a little worried about Russ coming back still, or his slow start to the season? You guys all full steam ahead, 20 points a game come playoff time.
Full steam ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Full steam ahead. That dude
I think
wants
Russ
to
is
be
going to
back
cook.
in there. Like, you can tell. What other hurt quarterback do you see out there running through progressions and everything before the game? This dude wants to play so bad, it's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
And I think I think this injury is going to make him, like, really push himself to get to another gear, to another level.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll has realized that Russell Wilson is the reason this team has been competitive, so I think he's going to have a little more, okay, we're going to throw the ball now. We don't need to run the ball.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think DK Metcalf's going to be that guy, but we're going to move on to Will's pick, who's also an amazing wide receiver, a little bit of a homer pick here, but I don't disagree with it. So
I just look, Justin Jefferson, I think, is going to have a big second half of the season. I'm not sure this week or next week. I think it could be like the last 6 weeks. If you watch the Vikings the last 2 weeks, I think because Zimmer's coaching for his obviously coaching, like if they would have lost to Detroit or Carolina the way those games ended, Zimmer would have been fired, in my opinion. I think there's finally some push on Zimmer that he understands he better open that offense up. And I think Kirk Cousins, as much as hate as Kirk Cousins takes in the NFL, his numbers are through the roof right now. Honestly, top 4 quarterback, honestly, in the NFL right now, the way he's playing. And it's interesting to watch Cousins become a more vocal leader and pushing the offense. So Sunday night will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see which Vikings show up. Is it Zimmer reverting back to himself? All that for Justin Jefferson is, I don't know. I think they're just going to open the offensive up at some point in the next couple of weeks. And I think Jefferson could be getting 7 to 11 looks a game, probably catching 80% of those, and at least probably a touchdown a game. Yeah. And so, when I look at the end of the schedule, next couple of weeks is rough, but those last few weeks don't scare me. I mean, it's the Steelers, it's at the Bears, it's the Rams, but home in Minnesota. But
the Rams defense has been terrible this year.
Yeah, the Rams defense isn't what we thought it was. Then it's at the Packers, and the Vikings play well in Green Bay. And for some strange reason, they play well in Green Bay.
We'll see if Alexander comes back too, because he's currently out. So if he doesn't come back, they don't really have any corners either.
I think it's going to be an interesting run for him, and I think Kirk Cousins. I think Kurt's just playing a different player this year. At this point, he's just a different guy.
Yeah, I think he's always put up the stats, but I think people are kind of starting to realize that he is capable of keeping this team going. And they're kind of a dark horse team where I think they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they perform well down the stretch. But let's move on to Jeff's guy, who pairs nicely with his quarterback, Jamar Chase.
I was going to say CeeDee Lamb. But this guy reminds me of CeeDee Lamb, but he is the true number one now in this offense, which you can't say about CeeDee Lamb. And that's Jamar Chase. There's something special about this guy. These LSU guys, man, that particular team.
Not anyone there anymore, just that team.
Exactly, man. This kid, there's something special about him. He's another one where, I noticed like most of us were looking at the schedule going on towards the championship or the playoffs and then to the championships. But this guy, he's starting to prove that he is kind of like Justin Jefferson last year, where he's, defense proof. Doesn't matter. We're going to see what they do, and I believe they play the Bills coming up here soon. But the defenses he's been facing, he has still been scoring. And so that's letting me know right now that, one, Burrow wants to get the ball to him. Two, the Bengals are not afraid to pass the ball. So even if they're down, they're going to pass the ball, and he's going to be the beneficiary. I'm not worried about T. Higgins anymore. Tyler Boyd is an afterthought now, so this guy, man, he's the real deal.
And he's creating separation too. The separation he's getting on his routes.
Yeah.
And as people were talking about in camp too, his drops, he's not getting separation. He seems to have fixed all of that.
And then in championship week, they play at home against Kansas City. With as bad as that Kansas City defense, oh my God!
Cincinnati's going to put up 50 points in that.
They're going to put 50 points up on Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the tight ends. I know you have to leave a little early, Jeff, so we'll let you go first just in case. So we're going to talk about Zach Ertz.
So I've been going with kind of the obvious things, Derrick Henry. Maybe people weren't looking about the, Jamar Chase, but I know people are kind of like, what? I think Zach Ertz, look, he just arrived in Arizona. First game, touchdown. I think Kyler Murray's going to know that he has another weapon. You got guys like DeAndre Hopkins who you never know, may not even finish the season, man. And then you're going to be relying on Christian Kirk, A.J. Green. He's going to realize that Zach Ertz is a true weapon. And I think he's going to have some pretty big games for a tight end. You can go ahead and say the obvious guys like a Kelsey, which I don't even know right now, because the Chiefs' offense is not looking great. I just think the opportunity is going to be there, for Kyler to get the ball to this guy, especially in the end zone. I think it's going to be a sneaky play, and I think he's going to continue to grow, especially into, again, the playoff rounds and then the championship.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the targets being consistent coming out of there. Because obviously DeAndre Hopkins, when he's playing, he's going to get his targets. And then you have Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, A.J. Green, Chase Edmonds out of the backfield. So I think I'm still a little hesitant on Zach Ertz. I want to see a couple more weeks before I'm fully willing to jump on that.
Look, Zach Ertz finally get 2 catches, but one's going to be a touchdown.
Exactly.
And he's getting you 6, and he's probably getting you at least 40 yards. Because, like I said, I don't even know if he has to learn the playbook. It's, hey, Zach, run down the middle of the field and get to the open spot because everybody else is drawing everybody else off. And if I have nobody else open, I'm throwing it to you. And that touchdown, there wasn't a defender near him.
Exactly.
He was wide open.
Yeah,
defenses are so spread out playing Arizona. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is it's crazy. It's like, I don't even know how you would play a man defense against them. It's somebody's going to get open somewhere.
To me, he's just got that bust potential where I think he will have some bust games throughout the rest of the season. And sometimes to win a championship, you can't have that. So I'm still cautioning, like if we see a couple more weeks of consistency, then I'm fully willing to move forward. But until then, I'm going to have to stay a little back. But we'll let Will go next. I'll let you introduce your pick here. Well, I think it's a good one for sure.
After watching I know it was the Dolphins. Kyle Pitts is the best tight end in the NFL. By far. By far. He's a matchup. You can't. That's the first time I've watched him play. At first, I didn't even realize. I was like, who? I actually thought, is that Julio Jones? And because he has that young Julio Jones body. Oh my God. And look, and I think part of it is he has a good quarterback who's a very precise quarterback. Those balls were getting dropped in right where he needed them, but they were double teaming him at one point, and he was still catching the damn ball. Mm-hmm. So look, their last couple of weeks. Now the problem is they play at the Bills championship weekend, which is a problem. But the 49ers and the Lions are the weeks before that, and I think he's going to put up great numbers. I just makes me a little nervous if you're in the championship game, I don't know, January 2nd, in Buffalo.
Well, Matt Ryan's been around long enough. I think they're going to throw the ball being in that offense. So someone's got to catch it. Calvin Ridley can't stay on the field, apparently. I don't trust Cordell Patterson worth anything, so take him out of the conversation. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be that guy. So I like that pick as well. Any thoughts on that pick, Jeff?
Yeah, I think it's a good pick, man. And the thing I think about some of these first-year head coaches, somebody has to be like, you are not hitting – you're using the weapon that you just got. And I think that was the problem with Pitts. Those first 4 or 5 games, or I'd say 4 games before he exploded. Again, a lot of that has to do with coaching. I do still think Cordell Patterson is going to be a guy that's in the mix for targets, though. Zach hates that
Cordell
guy.
Patterson can go away.
Justin Gage, too.
I want to tell you what I did in one of my leagues. I actually
Justin Gage had a good game.
Cordell Patterson, and I forgot who else it was, for Kyle Pitts.
Well, if you got Kyle Pitts,
Patterson, and I forgot who the other player was.
That's
yes, I did.
mistake.
I'm kicking myself right now. But anyway.
I wouldn't have done that. For my tight end, I've switched back and forth. At first, I had George Kittle because I think he's going to be good when he comes back. But with the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo thing, I decided against that. Then I had Dalton Schultz, but I'm like, I already picked 2 Cowboys, so let's switch it up. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert. Same name, Dallas, but I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert now that Zach Ertz isn't there. So let's just talk about his last 5. So he is bye week 14. So right before your playoffs, he's going to be on bye. So that's going to be great for him. He's going to be nice and rested. The entire team's going to be rested. They have weeks to prepare. So the 2 weeks before the bye, they play New York Giants and the New York Jets. So no one's going to be covering Dallas Goedert there. And then they come back. They play Washington. And then they play the New York Giants again at home. And then they go to Washington. So those 5 games, I think Dallas Goedert is going to go absolutely. He's going to be a monster. The secondaries on both those teams, New York Giants just lost Jabrill Peppers at the safety position. So for me, I think Dallas Goedert will have the ability to have those big games, and I think he's not going to have that bust potential, which is something that worries me about some other tight ends, because I think Goddard's got that. He's got that target share where he's going to see the targets. He's going to have the catches in any sort of PPR. You're not going to be disappointed from week to week, even if he doesn't score, which I feel like some tight ends are kind of touchdown dependent. I think Dallas Goedert can kind of outlive that, regardless of Jalen Hurts starting, Gardner Minshew starting, whatever happens there. I think Jalen Hurts should start for the rest of the season. But I think Dallas Goedert will see the targets. And I think he will score a couple touchdowns too during that 5-game stretch. So for me, Dallas Goedert is going to have to be my guy. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It's a good – yeah. Go ahead, Will.
No, I would say I think with the injuries in Philly too, like Goddard might become the safety blanket for Hurts. And then once you get that relationship, right, that kind of stays the whole year. Even if guys come back in, who you're used to checking down to. I think Goddard's a good run at the end of the year. And honestly, you may be able to trade for him now in your league and not give up that much, right? It could be a good steal.
Yeah, he definitely could be, because he was on the field 93% of the time against Las Vegas. He only had 5 targets for 3 receptions, 70 yards. So not great, not amazing. Still put up 10 points and half point, which is consistent. You're not going to get that from a lot of other tight ends. So for me, he's a guy I feel comfortable with moving forward. I know you have to go, Jeff. So if you need to go, we just got the social media post. You going to stay on for that?
Not a problem. I did want to say, though, because I do have Goddard in a couple of my leagues. To me, he's like the number 1 receiver on that team, actually.
Yeah.
The only problem is it's a low throwing volume. Hurts is normally running the ball. That was the only reason why I picked Ertz over him, because the volume of Murray throwing the ball. But Goddard he's the 1A to me picking Ertz. I think that he's going to get the targets. When Hurts does decide to throw the ball, they're going to go to him.
Yeah, I think they're going to be competitive in some more games. They have a little easier matchups coming on. So for me, they're going to have to throw the ball because they're going to want to win. Sirianni's got to keep his job, and they've been hesitant to run Miles Sanders. He's now hurt with the ankle injury, so who knows how that running game is actually going to shape out. So for me, the target, like when I'm looking for a tight end on my team, I don't want a touchdown dependent guy because he can win and lose you weeks, but when he puts up a dud, that kind of sets you back. So I look for tight ends who are going to have high targets. But let's move on to the social media post of the week. We have the whole Tampa Bay Tom Brady 600 touchdown ball that Mike Evans gave away. The fan did think, in my opinion, I think he got more than fair compensation for the ball. The ball was appraised around $500,000, but you're never going to get that. The ball was never going to hit open market anyways. So in return, he got a Bitcoin from Tom Brady. He got 2 signed Tom Brady jerseys, a Tom Brady helmet, a Mike Evans signed jersey. He got Mike Evans game-worn cleats. He got 2 season tickets for the rest of this season and next season. The approximate value of all that is around $80,000, but obviously the Bitcoin can go up in money. So for me, I think he got more than fair. He gave the ball away and then had to negotiate this after not having the ball in his possession anymore, which I think is due to the media, as you said, the media pressure on the team to make this guy. But yeah,
if Tom Brady goes, he's a Hall of Famer. Those jerseys
they'll go up. They're already around like $3,000 each.
Oh God, right.
Yeah, I was looking because I was trying to get a price to see around how much, in value. It's around $80,000, including the Bitcoin, which is a lot of money. And a guy now he can go to all the games.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming they're going to be decent tickets. They're not just going to.
If I get everybody says, oh, it's $500,000, but look, if the fan is enjoying that moment in life, and this is what they like to do, go to the games and all that. You got 2 jerseys, you got the cleats. I mean, what is that worth? Yeah, there's a monetary value, but there's more to that value. There's an emotional value to the fan.
Being a fan of the team.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just going to keep Tom Brady's ball from him.
Yeah.
It was an honest mistake by Mike Evans. He didn't realize.
Yeah.
And you're not going to. Like, to me, there's a lot of people saying, oh, he should have held out for more. Like, he didn't have the ball. He physically couldn't have held out for anything more.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to walk out of the stadium with the ball, once word on the street that you have a $500,000 ball with you, I'm sorry, you're not making it anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida. That ball's not going to be in your possession anymore for much longer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he made a good decision. I think they were more than fair with him. Tom Brady giving up the Bitcoin, I think, was huge. But even just the season tickets and the jerseys and the helmet and everything.
Yeah.
As a Bucs fan, to have all that, the game-worn cleats, to me, I think it was amazing.
And you're immortal as a Buc fan, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves you. Your name goes down in history with the team. So, what would the average fan pay for that opportunity to be immortalized in fandom?
Yeah, he's all over everywhere. He's been on podcasts, everything. Everyone's trying to have him in. He was all over media. The picture of him taking the ball. And his name's all over the place as well. So, like I said, I think I would have done it for sure. I would have given them the ball. I might have held on to it and then negotiated the terms a little bit and then given them the ball. But other than that,
I think I would have wanted a picture with the ball.
Yeah. Well, he's got the picture with the ball.
I just want a picture with the ball, and then everything else is fine. Yeah, great.
Yeah, he got the picture of the ball because there's the picture everywhere of Mike Evans literally giving him the ball.
Cool.
So he's got that to run with as well. So for me, like, I'm not a Bucs fan, so obviously, but if that was a Panthers fan and something happened like that on my team, for sure, like, I'm giving up the ball. First of all, I'm not. If I had the ball, I probably wouldn't sell it.
No, it'd be on the bookshelf in the case,
it'd be right behind me. If I was back with my setup, it'd be right there.
Yeah,
because that's something I have the ball. It's not. So he's got all this other stuff now. He can hang up jerseys everywhere, cleats. He's got a helmet. And he gets to go to all these games, plus the $1,000. Yeah, and next year. And plus he's got the $1,000.
Yeah.
And he gets to say he watched the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's going to play this year. I think he'll be back next year, which could be his final year.
Yeah.
If you got to watch the last year and a half of Tom Brady live, that's also worth a lot more than.
Look, and knowing the NFL, if the Buccaneers make the Super Bowl, you got to figure the team's probably bringing him. And they may even give him a replica ring or something. I mean, because you get good PR value out of that. So I'm sure this is not over for this fan,
No.
and there'll be plenty of
Yeah, I wasn't
opportunities
sure.
to enjoy
I was
it.
trying to look online, see if like playoff tickets were included in the season's tickets deal, and I couldn't find anything to see if they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's
I wouldn't
at
be
the
surprised.
games. No, because like I said, it's good for the team.
Team, yeah.
Yeah, it makes them look good, makes Tom Brady look good.
And the fact that he was such a goodwill ambassador from fans, right? Because look, fans,
Mhm.
you watch that college football the week before, the Tennessee fans making fools of themselves, throwing stuff on the field. It was kind of nice to have a positive story of the fan understanding the importance of history they were holding.
Yeah,
And handing
like that
that ball
ball's gonna
back
end up in the
and
Hall
not
of
making a
Fame.
big deal out of it, right?
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah, that
bigger
ball's
than
gonna
you.
end up in the Hall of Fame for
Fame,
sure.
right?
Like it's not like Tom Brady's just gonna keep it and like
No,
play with it every day or anything. It's
no.
gonna end up in the Hall of Fame. It's gonna go where it needs to be. And when it's in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure they'll have a little thing saying the guy who gave it
Yeah.
up. So he's gonna
Now the
be
guy's in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
gonna be a part of the Hall of Fame now. So that's
yeah,
even worth even more.
yeah,
And also the thing people seem to like from the team's point of view, they giving him tickets, sure,
yeah.
but how much money is he going to spend at their concession stands
Oh,
when he's
yeah.
at the game? So that's even more reason to like,
Parking, right?
yeah, parking and then the concessions when the game's going
Yeah,
on. Like if they give them playoff tickets, the tickets
yeah,
really don't cost them anything because
yeah.
they're the
It's
ones
not
selling
common.
them, and they're going to make money off the concessions anyways. And the
Yeah,
$1,000 they got for his, and then for the gift store. So when he's out
yeah,
wearing his Tampa Bay swag everywhere, it's really a good deal for both sides.
yeah,
I think it was all good.
yeah.
Um, I want to thank you for joining again, Will, and I want to thank everyone for
Anytime.
watching. Make sure you guys check out media on Instagram. Check out my account, Pro Football Craze, and the Fantasy Football Network. I want to thank them a lot for everything they've done and for making us a part of their network, and I'm super excited. Our handles are at the bottom there, so come back in, check in for next week. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thanks, Zach.
No problem.